So here are 5 reasons you need an ultra wide angle lens in under 5 minutes. And before we start the clock, let's quickly cover what's actually considered an ultra wide lens. And to keep it simple, anything under a focal length of 24mm is considered ultra wide. And I personally use the 14 to 24mm lens made by Sigma. And this ultra wide angle zoom lens gives me the freedom to capture a variety of different style of shots. With that being said, anything under a focal length of 14mm is when you'll start to enter the fisheye category, and it's here where your photos will start to become really warped. So depending on the style of shot you are after, these fisheye lenses may or may not be for you. But now that we have a better understanding of ultra wide, let's start the clock and jump straight into my first reason that you need an ultra wide angle lens, and that is lookups. So if you enjoy urban exploring like myself, then you should know the importance of the lookup shot. And for those that don't know what that is, a lookup is a unique and commonly forgotten perspective when shooting architecture. And as the name suggests, it's when you look up to capture what's above. And this composition works great in heavily dense city areas, and there is no better focal length to capture these than an ultra wide angle lens. So there have been numerous times where I try to capture a lookup with say a 24mm, and it still looked okay, but once I switched to my 14mm, it completely changed the whole frame and added so much more scale to my shots. These wide angle lookup shots can also work great with people, so as you can see in this photo here. But now continuing on with people, reason number 2 is unique portraits. So firstly, if a traditional style photographer heard me say that using an ultra wide angle lens to shoot portraits was a good thing, then they would probably have a heart attack. But for me, I personally enjoy shooting more contextual style portraits rather than the typical waist up shots. And shooting these wider styled portraits help me tell a more engaging story and allows me to add even more layers to my photos while also providing some context of where my subject is. A pro tip though when shooting portraits with these ultra wide lenses is to try keep your models in the center of the frame, because these ultra wide angle lenses usually distort the side of your frame, so if your model's head or feet fall into these areas, it can cause your subject to have elongated heads and feet. But now moving on to the next reason you need an ultra wide angle lens, and that is image stabilization. So there is a general rule of thumb in photography where you should set your shutter speed to double your focal length to capture a sharp photo. So that means if you're shooting with a 14mm lens, then you should be able to capture a sharp handheld photo with a shutter speed of around 1/30. And this ability to capture sharp photos with these low shutter speeds will open the door to a variety of low light photography options. On top of that, when recording handheld video, it is a lot easier to capture smooth shots with a wide angle lens, because any bumps, shakes or unwanted movements are all reduced the wider your focal range becomes. But now moving on to reason number 4, and that is better reflections. And we can achieve reflections by placing our cameras up to reflective surfaces like windows or puddles of water, and by shooting these reflection shots with an ultra wide angle lens, you'll be able to capture even more of the scene in your reflection, which will then lead to some really eye-catching photos. Here's an example of the same reflection shot at 2 different focal lengths, and here we can see the photo shot at 14mm just captures more of the reflection, and in my opinion looks better overall. But now moving on to my final reason you need an ultra wide angle lens, and that is epic shots. So whether you're shooting landscapes, architecture, portraits, real estate, or even vlogging, the ability to fit so much in your scene, mixed with the slight distortion you get when using these ultra wide angle lenses, will instantly make your shots look more epic. And since it's believed that lenses between 35 and 50mm are closest to what the human eye sees, when you shoot with these ultra wide angle lenses, it's a perspective that isn't commonly seen, which will then make your photos stand out from the crowd. Also, if you have the ability, I recommend picking up an ultra wide angle zoom lens that offers a variety of different focal lengths, so something like my Sigma 14 to 24mm. Because by having an ultra wide angle zoom lens, you'll have even more versatility when out shooting, and there's been many situations where I'm confident going out to shoot with just this one lens. But now that you know the 5 reasons why you need an ultra wide angle lens, I recommend watching this video here so you know how to properly compose your wide angle photos, so I'll see you there.